Hi, my name is Kyle, and I'd like to introduce myself. I am a 51-year-old software engineer, and I'm looking to retire someday. Well, that day is not today, and it's not tomorrow, but it's not 2 years from now, probably. It's not 4 years from now. I'm looking really at a 5-7 year window. So when you do something like that, though, there has to be a plan, and that's what I'm starting today, is my plan. So, hello, and welcome to the channel, and let's sit down and try to make a plan. Okay, step one, figure out what you want to do in retirement. So, retirement is a nebulous thing, right? It doesn't require you to stop everything, right? You can work on a hobby. You can take up golf. You can start playing golf again, right? After 20 years of not being able to do it because you're so busy with work and everything else. But you probably need to have a layer of things, right? What if it's raining all week? What are you going to do then, right? But, you know, find things that will keep you occupied and keep you moving, right? They say the minute you stop is the minute you die. So your early retirement years, you don't necessarily maybe need to worry about it as much, but as you get older, you need to have hobbies that kind of age with you well, right? So doing things that are really strenuous may be something that works well in the early years, but things that don't require as much could be things that you can grow into and grow old with. So that's number one, trying to think of something to retire to. Number two, and number two is the planning, financially planning phase, right? Number one, you have to have something to retire to. Number two, you have to have the ability to retire. So in the planning phase, this unfortunately started when you were in your 20s, probably. But maybe you had a late start. Maybe you had a change of life that caused you to have to start over. But this is something that 5 years out, it may be a little bit hard, right, to do this. But if you really buckle down, you could do it in 5 years. There are people out there retire at 500. There's some examples out there of people who retire with less than maybe what you would think you would have to retire with. So that's something to start to basically start trying to figure out whether you're where you want to be, and that includes deciding how much you want to be able to spend every month, what your expenses need to be, right? I use a tool, and it's If I Saved. So that tool is available online, ifisaved.com. But it allows me to go in and see and create a budget and basically plot out how much I think I need to spend and how much I am spending right now, and then create a check to see how I'm doing towards my goal, right? And how much I want to spend every month versus how much I have at the bank, how much I have in investments, how those investments should track over the next 30, 40 years, and just the ability to see where it will allow me to end up, right? Will I end with money left over, or will I end with, running out of money at 20 years in and being up a creek, right? You always have I think we'll always have Social Security. There are people that say we won't. It may be reduced. There may be extra rules around it. Maybe you won't get as much as you think you will, but I think it will always be there. And then you always have, your other sources of income like pensions and things along those lines. So, if you want to use the tool, ifisaved.com is available, and it helps you to see kind of where you are, how much you need, and it gives you some good guidance as to whether or not you will weather that storm through Monte Carlo analysis, through some different tools to help you see where you need to pull your Social Security, and the what if scenarios, things along those lines. And then also it helps you kind of in the investment years, helps you see what your risk tolerances are, and helps you kind of maybe allocate your funds in ways that would help you during your retirement years. So, when you're young, you have everything, you invest everything, right, that you're putting towards retirement. But as you get towards, like I am, 5-6 years out, then, or 5-10 years out maybe, then you need to start making changes and moving things around so that you kind of make yourself a little bit safer than you were when you were 20, when you didn't even have access to that money for 30, 60 years, or 40 years, right? So that's number 2, right? Help plan on where you need to be at retirement, and as far as monetarily speaking goes, and then trying to reach that goal. The tool also has a what if thing, like where if you decided, what if I worked one more year? What if I decided to retire one year earlier? It'll help you see how that affects your money follow. And anyway, go check it out and see what you think. All right, number 3, and this is important. It is bringing your spouse on board, right? So now you've gone through your mental preparation, your mental thought. You've also gone through and prepared financially, and you think you have a story to tell. So now you need to approach your spouse, and this is something you need to be careful doing, right? This is akin to talking about how many kids you want when you're dating, right? If they are not on board with your retirement age, or maybe you retiring when you want to, then it should be an issue, right? So talk to them, find out what they feel like, what they kind of have feelings for around, and be open to their ideas, right? You've already kind of invested a little bit mentally into this idea. You need to talk through that, and give them the vision of what you've been thinking about, right? If you're not a salesman like me, this might be a hard one, right? But maybe it's real easy. Maybe they said, okay, let's retire tomorrow, but then you have to sell them on holding off until you're ready according to your plan, right? Bring them into the plan. With If I Saved, you have the ability to share your profile, and you can show them with their own account and everything to where you are, where your all your money is, and it'll give you the ability them the ability to see where you two are in your financial vision and current place towards your goal, right? So I think the biggest thing here is helping them to understand how much you'll have a month to spend, and that you're not necessarily cutting back, or maybe cutting as much as they maybe think you might have to. So just helping walk them through the financial portion, but then also there's that's the mental portion, right? So you tell them, spring on, hey, I'm 55 now. Hey, honey, I think we ought to retire, right? What do you mean? So yes, 5 years out, or so, maybe a little earlier, you start talking about, what you might want to do when it comes time to retire, right? Get them thinking about their different hobbies, or their different things they want to do, right? The saddest thing I see is a couple that retires, and one of the spouses has a plan. They have things to do. They're always busy, right? And that doesn't always include the spouse. So it's important that the spouse is on board, and also mentally ready, and has something to go and do, and become and help become something that drives them, right? Again, look at what help them, right? Look at what they do currently, and see if there's something, if they really love it, see if there's something they could do like that's the same thing, but volunteering or part-time, something that's way more flexible, right? So that if you decided to go off on a 3-week trip somewhere, you could do it on a drop of a hat if you find a good deal or something, right? You see all the sites, all the YouTube videos where people pick up and leave like with a day's notice because they found a great deal on some travel site, right? So help them find something to retire to, right? And like I say, this is important because this is half your life, right? Your spouse is your other half, and you need to make sure they're happy and on board 100%. Because, like I say, the saddest thing is to kind of see a retired couple where one is go, 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 and the other is lost. They don't know what they're doing anymore without a job, right? So I think this is really important, and it's something to think about, and it's something to take as far as the step goes. Step 4. So with step 4, we really want to look at where we're going to live, our home. The home is something we don't include as part of the net worth. And that's because a home is where you live. You don't want to sell it unless you are forced or have to sell it, or actually really, really want to sell it, right? So we don't include that in your net worth. And it helps to not include it in your retirement calculation as well. So if you decide you want to sell your home and pull equity out and maybe move to a smaller home or whatever, that's something to think about. But there are other things to think about when moving, right? You live in a community. You live where you have been for maybe the last 20 years in the area, right? You have people around you, right? You have things that hold you to a place. You don't necessarily want to throw that out just to move, right? I know a lot of people think about, hey, I want to move to, some place where it's cheaper to live during retirement because that's, I feel like I can retire if I move somewhere cheaper, right? But you really have to take into account the personal question of, do I have a community around me that really matters and that I would really miss? So the home is one thing to think about, right? You may have set yourself up. You may be living where you want to die, right? And that's great. So if that's the case, then you are set. You just need to figure out ways to maintain it and keep it going and do things towards making it as inexpensive to live there as possible, right? Maybe that includes paying it down, unless you have a really low mortgage from a few years ago. Right? So the home is another thing to think about during retirement. Do you need something as big? Can you maintain it as you get older? Things along those lines, right? Is it a 1-story, a 2-story? Is your bedroom on the 2nd story, right? You don't want to move when you're 78, right? I don't think. So try to set yourself up to where you can be where you want to be when you're young enough to actually move and feel comfortable doing it, right? But yeah, hey, I mean, maybe it's something where you want to move a little bit further out, but still stay in the same community. Maybe you want to get a little acreage, have chickens, as you can hear in the background here. We only have 4, even though it sounds like 20. Anyway, so that's one more thing to think about, and that is step 4. Okay. Okay. Now to wrap it up. So we talked about getting yourself ready, getting yourself mentally and financially prepared, talking about your spouse and talking through the scenarios with them, and getting them to where they can also mentally prepare before the day before you want to retire, and then where you're going to live, right, and how that can play into your retirement calculations, right? So I guess to close out this video and maybe again to start this journey with you, I'm going through this, like everyone else does, trying to get as much information as I can. As I get that information, I will try to post a little bit on that, do some long form videos like this, so that, and I say long form, I don't think I can sit down and do an hour-long video, sorry. But maybe this is stuff that maybe would interest you, would help you in your journey to do the same. So I'm going to try to share videos once a month or once a week, and like I said, try not to basically just fill the time, but try to make it helpful information for you and maybe something you can just like have on and listen to in the background while you're doing other things. But I hope you can get something out of it. And if you like this, please subscribe and follow the channel. And that way I can build an audience here and help continue to promote these ideas and these thoughts of what it means to retire in the world today, in the United States today, and how it's best to maybe get there. So thank you for listening, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.